Okay, if you're in a band and you're staying at the Motel 6 and you add a band member and now you're at the Ritz-Carlton, keep your issues to yourself. All right? You went from a Motel 6 in a sketchy part of town to a Four Seasons in the shopping district. Stop.
A standout moment from the WNBA All-Star Game drew an estimated 27 million viewers, turning it into one of the most talked about events in recent memory. But what followed in the post-game press conference quickly sparked controversy, dividing the basketball world and forcing fans and analysts to pick sides. Never one to stay quiet, Colin Cowherd launched a fierce critique aimed at Los Angeles Sparks star Kelsey Plum, delivering some of the harshest comments seen in recent sports media discussions. This wasn't just a routine disagreement about basketball. It became a debate about respect, recognition, and the idea of biting the hand that feeds you. Cowherd, without hesitation, appeared visibly outraged. What was meant to be a celebration of the league's top talent during the 2025 WNBA All-Star Game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis instead turned into one of the most explosive and controversial moments in modern sports discourse.
That was a very powerful moment. We didn't, at least as players, we didn't know that was going to happen. So I think it was kind of like a genuine surprise, but the t-shirt, just united front was determined this morning, that we had a meeting for. And, not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that. But no, we were just, we had a very,
that really needed to be mentioned.
I'm trying to make a situation light, okay? But yeah, no, I think it was just all of us getting on the same page for the game. And we wanted to do something that was just united and collective. And I thought that it was a very powerful moment and got the point across. And, sometimes you don't have to say anything.
Both All-Star teams made a bold statement during warm-ups by wearing black t-shirts featuring a simple but powerful message: "Pay us what you owe us." The crowd reacted instantly, erupting in support. In front of an audience of around 27 million viewers, WNBA players unified to highlight ongoing concerns around pay, contracts, and financial fairness in the league. The demonstration was coordinated, impactful, and immediately resonated across the basketball world. However, the atmosphere shifted quickly after the game. Kelsey Plum, widely regarded as one of the league's most accurate shooters since 2017, made comments in the post-game press conference that were interpreted as a direct shot at Caitlin Clark. Rather than being subtle or diplomatic, her remarks were sharp and intentional, sparking strong reactions and intensifying the controversy.
It was a terrible PR decision. Judging by the response on social media, it was a PR disaster. All right, an absurd move right before the All-Star.
Reflecting on the t-shirt protest, Plum described it as a powerful and impactful moment, noting that the players themselves had not been aware it was going to happen beforehand. However, the tone shifted as she followed up with a pointed remark. She specifically called out Caitlin Clark's All-Star team, suggesting they were absent from the meeting where the t-shirt protest was organized, adding another layer of tension to the already heated situation.
T-shirts don't bother me, but why do you take a shot at the Golden Goose, Caitlin Clark? You guys were flying before she arrived on one of those airlines that made you pay for a cup of water. One of those airlines that is the planes are the color of a highlight.
Pause and think about that for a moment. A veteran player, who many felt should have been showing appreciation, was instead openly criticizing the very athlete credited with dramatically boosting attention around women's basketball, turning it into must-watch entertainment through massive fan engagement and social media buzz. Even Colin Cowherd, the Fox Sports host formerly associated with Fox Sports, was prepared to confront the situation head-on during his Monday show. He didn't hold back, raising his voice and exclaiming, "Stop talking," as his frustration grew. His central question was blunt. Why would anyone go after the player who is effectively the league's biggest draw and biggest opportunity for growth?
Mind the t-shirts. I think you have leverage. I think you deserve more than 9%. But it's just misstep after misstep. It's time to grow up, girls.
But that was only the beginning. What followed was an even harsher verbal attack. one that many believed would be remembered for a long time. Using a sharp metaphor, Cowherd compared the situation to a dramatic lifestyle upgrade. You went from a Motel 6 in a rough part of town to a Four Seasons in the mall, implying a major rise in status and comfort. He then added, "And now you're taking shots at the person who got you the upgrade," further emphasizing his point. Still not finished, he continued in a frustrated tone, urging critics to keep their complaints private and to recognize what Caitlin Clark has brought to the WNBA. "Grow up," he concluded bluntly.
Get more profitable as women's basketball gets better, as the Caitlin Clark momentum train gets bigger. I mean, this year she's not playing well, she's hurt, she's not there for all the games, so this is actually not as great as it...
The statistics, which leave little room for debate, are often cited as the reason behind Cowherd's strong reaction and his defense of Caitlin Clark. To him, the numbers alone should make any WNBA veteran reconsider criticizing her impact. Before Clark entered the league, WNBA games typically averaged around 400,000 viewers on a strong night. Now, Indiana Fever games featuring Clark routinely attract over 1.7 million viewers, with some matchups surpassing 3 million. Overall television ratings have reportedly surged by about 170% over the past year. The growth in attendance tells an even stronger story. The Fever have sold out 17 of their 20 home games this season, and on the road, arenas are now regularly filled whenever Indiana comes to town. In contrast, many of these venues previously struggled to reach full capacity, highlighting the dramatic shift in interest surrounding the league.
Early went from an average walk-in price of $121 to 64 bones. $64 to get in once Caitlin Clark's injury came out that she wasn't going to play. And I'm very interested to see what those ratings...
The league has reportedly been operating at a loss for 27 years, with annual deficits estimated between $10 and $12 million. However, projections suggest the WNBA could come close to breaking even this year for the first time in its history. Many credit Caitlin Clark as a major driving force behind that shift. Cowherd's frustration wasn't based only on emotion. It was reinforced by what he saw as undeniable reality. Despite her talent and accomplishments, Kelsey Plum has not generated the same level of league-wide impact that Clark has produced in just one season. In his view, Clark is the player directly fueling the sport's surge in popularity. He emphasized this point strongly, using the numbers as evidence before posing a pointed question. Why would anyone criticize the very athlete helping elevate the entire league?
Exactly what she was doing. She knew she was being shitty, and she was. That's what she was doing. She knows Caitlin Clark's got a ton of fans that support her, and she purposely gave her a...
It's a somewhat ironic situation. Plum and others have referenced earlier WNBA disputes in similar contexts, but critics argue that while it's fair for veterans to push for higher pay, they're now directing frustration toward the one player who is arguably strengthening their bargaining position. To illustrate the point, a comparison is made. It would be like criticizing the person baking the pie while complaining about the size of your own slice. When viewed alongside what Caitlin Clark has achieved in less than a year as a professional, it becomes clearer why Cowherd's strong defense of her resonates so heavily with supporters. Criticism was directed at the veteran for mocking the player widely credited with transforming the WNBA's visibility and popularity. In just her first season, Caitlin Clark is described as having helped shift the league from struggling financial and viewership figures toward major growth, including higher revenue, rising TV ratings, consistently sold-out arenas, and increased endorsement interest. In contrast, Kelsey Plum, despite her talent and achievements, has not had the same league-wide impact. Cowherd characterized Plum's comments as potentially driven by jealousy and poor judgment, warning that speaking negatively about the league's biggest draw could be seen as both bad sportsmanship and, in a business sense, counterproductive to the league's own growth. His message was clear and direct. The league should acknowledge the player driving its current success. In his view, internal negativity risks damaging the momentum the WNBA is finally building, and it's important to protect what he referred to as the league's golden goose. He argued that Caitlin Clark is a truly transcendent star and suggested that the way veteran players respond to her could have long-term consequences, not just for team dynamics, but potentially for the league's future direction and whether that rising momentum continues or fades.